The temporary scratchpad is not an actual name for a variable, and since I already compared them to post-its, it's a bit hard to talk about how they are being temporary. But we already kind of have used some temporary variables, because here we create the number variable and set it to a random number that we use in the very next line, and then we never use it again. Then we end the block that has defined the variable, and it no longer exists until the next time the function is started. We create a new variable. This points is not as temporary. That exists from the beginning of the program throughout it. But we can also use it for other stuff. Let's say, see here we have something we repeat, and we don't like repetition too much, and it gives us very long lines, and we would like to not do that. So we could create a variable, let ball be equal to, and then take all of this part before the class list. And here, this is our ball query selector. And since it's going to be the same for every line, then we can just replace document query selector ball container 1. Since we can always replace a variable with its content, we can also do the other thing. We can always have, when we have some content here that is the same as a variable, we could just use the variable name. And the same here. And if we do that for every single line, I'm holding in Control so I can mark them all. And then I write ball. Now the code seems a bit nicer. I just set the variable ball here, and then I reuse that variable in all these lines. And we can see it still works. It removes all the positions. So this is a nice way of making your code easier to read on the eye. The computer doesn't care. JavaScript doesn't care at all if you use a variable or if you just repeat this line over and over. But it looks nicer, and it gives us abilities to do something else. Because imagine if we wanted this code to work for ball container 2. The only place we would have to change it was here. Let's just try it. Reach bottom on ball container 2. And now we can see, we also have to do it here. Ball. This one could also be the ball. And now ball container 1 doesn't do anything, but ball container 2 is dropping. So the only place in the function we had to change something was here, and then we just used this variable throughout it. I think that's kind of cool.